I'm reading a book by a lawyer. That's strange for me. A bit of a philosopher, though, too, a gentleman named Bruce Hafen. Great guy. I love the way his mind thinks. He's very just inspires me. And he's speaking about how to learn and teach. This is how people learn, so therefore this is how we should adapt how we teach, and therefore here's what we do. And he basically says there are two kinds of knowledge. One is that rational, informational knowledge, study up on, take the test, regurgitate, check the box, the data, the info, the what. And then the other is the skills knowledge, the how to do what needs to get done, the doing of that, the application of that data and that information. If you will, information and wisdom, information and doing. And so, think of some examples. A young child learning to ride a bike. Someone learning to play the piano. A sports coach. There's only so much chalk talking or teaching a young child to ride a bike. You can't teach them in theory. Sit on the front porch, look at the bike, look at the road, teach them all they need to know by transferring information, and then expect them to jump on the bike and sail away. It takes some oopsies and some skinned knees and some panic and some letting go before maybe they want you to, and all these other sort of more practical things to actually learn what takes place. Likewise, teaching your 16-year-old to drive. Yeah, you can do all the theory, read all the books, do all the tests. Would you want to drive with them as a licensed driver if they'd never driven before and assume they could just go off and get it done? No, you wouldn't. So as you teach, consider how people learn. There is the need for the data and the information and the theoretical regurgitation of that and the ability to absorb it, but there's also the need for this practical application of it. In fact, he said, Michael Polanyi said that there is a unique field of skill set and knowledge that can't be described, measured, or specified. It just is absorbed in the doing. It can be passed on only by example, only by walking with someone. Master to apprentice, if you will. Case in point, with all of the AI and wonderful technology we have nowadays, they still can't replicate. And they did a project of this at an institution back east. 10 years worth of computing power and engineering and all the other stuff to replicate the sound of a Stradivarius violin that was built by a half-literate individual 200 years ago. Could he teach that to someone? I don't know. Was there a quiz that they could take and quantify and build into the programming to make that noise replicated? No. Only took it so far. It was the art. It was the feel of it. So, what does that mean? Well, it's about subtleties. It's about picking up those rules of art and being conscious of them as you teach them. It's about traditions and norms and how we do things around here and laying down patterns and frameworks for people to follow. It's about not just, as a teacher, lecturing, but hopefully you've heard me say this phrase a number of times, about working with and for people. Putting your arm around them, showing them how to ride that bike or kick that ball or play that violin. Sitting next to them as they do it, correcting them as they go, letting them make some mistakes, because more often than not we learn more from our mistakes than we do from our successes. So as you teach and train your people, be conscious of that. You're not just transferring data and how-tos, you're also walking with them and showing, because you're doing what you're asking them to do. As you're learning, look to learn the theory, look to get down the frameworks and the processes, but then look to learn and adjust the art in the doing. And being persistent in doing that over time makes you so much better. You need both. It's not all just jump on a bike and go, or just go drive the car. You need to learn the rules of the road. But it's not just about learning the rules of the road from a book. It's about applying them in practice. And I would suggest making a whole bunch of errors along the way. Expect that to happen as you teach and as you learn. And don't give up as the teacher or the leader just because someone doesn't appear to be learning it or has made a mistake. They're going to learn more from that mistake maybe than they would from any other lecture or teaching or positive experience you have. Meld those two together. That's how you get really good at doing. You learn theoretically and then you learn practically. Get the subtleties down, get really good at the art as well as the science, and you'll be just fine in the teaching and the learning and therefore the doing.